Baby, we are back at it again, but you guys are kind of seeing it with a little bit of a different background today. Yeah, that wasn't done on purpose. Just, in my head, I was just driving somewhere. It's going to be a little bit. Figured, I was like, you know what? Might as well go for a car ride. I know what you're thinking. Uncle Rami, what about the pump cover coming off? Well, if you guys really, really want it, I guess we can just make it happen. So, listen. Pump cover coming off while the car's still moving. Zero pump, but whatever. We're here. We're going to make it happen. That is quite literally the game. Anyways, so today's video is actually about, and it's always so funny whenever I start off videos like this, like, why would I start off a video by what this video is about, right? Considering you guys clicked on this for a damn reason. But spending time alone. I think there's a huge distinction between spending time by yourself because you're trying to escape versus genuinely loving spending time by yourself. Like, I have an absolute blast when I just hang out alone. And I never used to be that way. I used to always enjoy my alone time. I think everyone's kind of like that. But it was more so because I was trying to escape a lot of things that I didn't like in my life. And versus me possibly being reminded of that by other people, is very predictable for me to predict that, you know what? I think I can predict the fact that if I don't hang out with anybody, I'm not going to get any comments I don't like. And now that's not the case. I genuinely don't enjoy hanging out with an abundance of people because I think spending time with myself is way more fun. If you think about it, that kind of sounds a little bit schizo. But when it comes to true solitude, when you're alone, there's a lot that comes to the surface. And one thing I will say is for people that genuinely love hanging out by themselves because they legitimately enjoy their own company. By the way, this fucking sun is absolutely busting me up right now. But and now there's this guy right next to me just staring at me. Listen, bro, yeah, I know what you're thinking. It's cold as hell outside. Why is your pump cover off? It's for my people. I mean, what else am I doing this shit for? But one thing I do want to make clear is, all right, now he's officially off. He's officially off. But I kid you not, though, it's the idea that when you hang around other people, a lot of times you're trying to give them a feeling, especially if you are good socially. One thing I'll tell you guys about people that you look at and you're like, man, he's charismatic and he just gets it. Like when he's out in public, he gets it. But just because someone's good socially doesn't mean that it's not draining of their energy. And I know what people want instinctually. A lot of times, and this isn't meant to come off arrogant, I know what people want more than themselves. And if you can give somebody a specific feeling that they cannot get from anybody else, that is where you see people grow very fond of you. Like they love being around you. But the problem is you it's not that you're playing a character, it's actually just respect and kindness, because that is a part of my creed as a person. Just because I may not like someone in terms of like being able to hang out with them for long periods of time doesn't mean I actually dislike them. It's just, I've gotten what I need to from this conversation. I'm kind of ready to dip. But when you're alone, there is none of that. You know what I mean? Like, it's funny, like it can be a dichotomy of a couple things. And one thing could be in itself is, at least in my opinion, people talk about who are you when no one's watching. I think that's actually huge. Because there's this police officer who was driving unbelievably slow with his lights on, pulling this guy over in traffic. Bro, tell him to move over to the side. What are you doing? You know what I'm saying? What is that shit? Anyways, that's none of my business, right? And by the way, there's nothing worse than that guy that just wants to brake so harshly because he just wants to see what's going on. The snoopers, which is basically 99% of the people on the road. They're like, oh, wow, action. Look what's happening. Holy shit, dude, there's a fucking Tesla truck. That's not something you see in the Midwest every single day. A lot's happening on this drive. I'm trying to stay on task, but it's absolutely unbelievable. Like, what I'm watching right now is it's mayhem. It's absolute mayhem. It's Friday. You want to know why? It's a full moon. Full moons bring out weird shit. I don't care what anybody says. That's a video for another day. But regardless, a lot of times when it comes to being, really good socially, there's just people that typically put a drain on your energy. That doesn't mean you just understand what people want. And for me, I like to remain respectful of other people, and I think the reason why I'm so good with other people and giving them what they want is probably because the things that I wanted growing up, I never really felt like I had. So a lot of times, like the game of the deficits, the things that you were dying for when you were younger, you just know how to give that to other people as you get older because you lived in that alone. You know what I mean? You lived in that kind of hell of this like emptiness, eternal emptiness, but that is the skill that becomes your skill as you get older. So I just kind of instinctually knew what people wanted. And as a result, like when I'm alone and no one's watching me, I get to just cook by myself. Most people when they're alone, they feel like they can just put up their feet because no one's watching. And I'm telling you, it's such a good marker because when I'm alone, I'm probably at my most productive, not even close. Not even close because there's nobody else in my mind. I'm completely empty. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm not worried about anything besides me. It's just me. And it's complete solitude. It's me operating at my absolute peak. And I'm just as happy as I'm ever going to be. You know what I mean? Like as messed up as it sounds, that is a part of it. Like, damn, people talk about getting married when they get older. It's like, shit, man, I need to have a family. I need to have kids. It's something I genuinely want. Plus, I just look at it as it's my responsibility, right? Like, I'm here on earth for a little bit of period of time. If you'd ask me, I think it's pretty selfish to be like, well, I really enjoy my peace, And this is coming from someone that leans into chaos, but I enjoy the chaos of situations, not necessarily of bullshit. I think there's a huge difference in chaos and drama. Huge difference between chaos and drama now that I think about it, because drama is just fake bullshit. Like, it's just like, it's almost like brain rot content is how I would describe it compared to long form content where someone's actually talking to you. Yeah, I know. You see how I threw that in there? I'm like, yeah, if you're basically on this page watching this video, you're definitely more special than the 99%. Yeah, I went there because it's true. For you to sit down and just be like, I actually just enjoy conversation. I enjoy someone talking to me like a real human being, making me feel a certain way, And I think that's like one thing I'll tell you is like once you start and this is where solitude can be dangerous because you enjoy your own company so much. And I'm telling you, it sounds wild, but you'll get to a point where you genuinely enjoy your own company so much that you feel like everyone else is a drag. When you have like maybe a friend group and there's one person that throws off the vibes. You get what I'm saying? I can only articulate it in this way for most of you guys to understand. It's that same way. Because when you're alone and you genuinely enjoy your company, you just have a blast by yourself. You feel like everyone else is just a vibe killer. Like, man, they just don't get it. And you're basically saying this all in your head. But you need people to be happy. And that's where it's like life doesn't really make sense at all. Like, it really, really doesn't make sense. By the way, I'm going to cut this car off. Why? Because I'm in a tank top. And this is cool part about being jacked. No one's ever going to size you up. Even if I am in the wrong. I didn't cut anybody off. That was surgical. Absolutely surgical. But yeah, man, you just kind of get to a point where it's just like, I don't know. Keep in mind, it's my humble opinion on all this stuff. Car's pulling up. He definitely wants to smoke. He definitely wants to smoke, but it's without a doubt, it's very, very, very interesting. Man, I always wondered that, and the thing is like this video is probably not even providing that much clarity. It's kind of just like a ball of thought, but it's also because, like whenever I think about, like whenever I know I'm going to have time alone for a few days, which is going to be the case right now, it feels like there's just this monkey that comes off my back. It feels like I now get to completely just do whatever I have to do. I don't have to be conscious really of anybody else because there's nobody else to be conscious of. I don't have to be any sort of respectful, and I can't explain any other way. Basically, it's like I have an abundance of respect for everyone I surround myself with, or who's ever in my presence, even if it's not someone I'm used to seeing. You know, I'm always going to give them respect because that's an important thing to give to people. But that doesn't mean it doesn't weigh in on you, because you're just like, man, like, you just get it. Like, you understand, you know, how people work and, you know, how to make them feel a certain way. Like I keep saying, that's basically what this whole game comes down to. You realize life, you know, I know a ton of people that can give everything, their shirt off their back, right? They do everything for everybody else, but they can't make that person feel a certain way. And as a result, they get disrespected, or they're not shown the love that they actually deserve, more so than maybe even someone like me, who doesn't do everything great on paper. But the things that I do, no one else can replicate, you know, and those things typically give you, and it's just the truth, they give you special treatment. They allow you a lot more bandwidth and leeway and a leash that most people, like, I can get away with a lot more stuff than most other people can. And that's kind of just the way it works. That's what I mean. Life ain't fair sometimes. It's really not. But it's also attention to detail. You know, anyone can go out and buy somebody a gift. I'm not saying those things are nice. My point is anyone can go do those things. If you can do something that no one else can, and you are the only person that can fulfill a certain void in people, that's when people really, really love you. That's the truth. And no, I'm telling you, those people that know how to do that are super charismatic, and they just get it on a social aspect, like just on a social level, those people typically enjoy having alone time more than anybody else. And it's because they just get to just operate the way they know they have to and the way they can. I'm, like I said, like, most people aren't that productive alone. Where for me, I'm at my most productive alone. I'm at my most creative alone, because I have so much free bandwidth to where it's just like, man, like, this is it, man. This is it. Versus people that typically hang out alone, they're, like I said, they're trying to escape stuff. They're trying to hide. That's the difference. And that's why I think it's such a good marker of a man. Like, who are you when no one's looking? Who are you when nobody's looking? And for me, it's like, I'm telling you, and as crazy as it sounds, I think of a lot more generous shit. You know, like, I think a lot better and cleaner, and just everything's a much better place when I'm alone. And that's kind of a sad thing to most people, but it ain't sad to me, man. Like, that's actually kind of sick. That's why I don't fear being alone. You know, when you talk about when people are like, man, my alone time, like, I need to make sure I'm always around people. I don't have to worry about that, unfortunately, you know? Well, I should say fortunately. Matter of fact, fortunately, I don't have to worry about that stuff, man, whatsoever. And it's just because, like, when you do everything for everybody else, and that's how you live your life, and in my opinion, it's the only way to live life. Everything else is just, it's bullshit. It's fleeting desire. It's all of it. When you're trying to fill up your own cup without the idea of anybody else, it's bullshit. That's why when I'm alone, it feels great, because I don't got anyone else in my ear. When I'm present, I try to be present. I think you guys probably can pick up on this. Like, when I'm present with people, I try to be present with people. Unless they're like, you know, hopping in and it's just like, yo, man, I'm kind of in the middle of work. I kind of need to get this stuff done. But just alone time, you know, no notifications, nobody bothering you. Dude, I be blaring music. I still lift like an animal. You know, like, I guess some of my best lifts when nobody's around. I'm also grunting like an absolute animal, but that's kind of like the difference. Like, you're just shirt off, ripping sets, ripping reps, ultra failure training, you know. You just can't do that at a public gym. You get what I'm trying to say? There's just a few things in my head, and some people are like, bro, you should just, like, take off your shirt at the gym. Like, no, there's rules, bro. And I'm not a rule follower either, obviously. I tend to not follow a lot of rules, especially rules that I think that are stupid, but that is a rule that makes sense. Because if I break that rule and then now you have a bunch of monkeys pulling up there like myself, just hauling off, you know, no shirt on, it ruins the culture of that gym. I'm sure there's gyms that allow it, but that's what I mean. Like, you have to be aware of these things. Like, there are certain rules where it's like, yeah, man, if you're dirty and everyone's dirty at your gym, then your gym's going to be unbearable to work out at. That's what makes a good place that you want to work out at. And it works the exact same way with your life. Same way with the people you surround yourself with. Same way you have any sort of conversation. I know this is a ton of rambling, ton of rambling actually on this video, and I feel actually bad. But I feel like there's just a lot of points that come across of just the one central thesis of this entire video. And that central thesis is, who are you when nobody's watching? Who are you? And the thing is even when you're around people, that's also revealing your identity as a person, because that is, in a weird way, you're almost unmasking yourself. The mask actually comes off when you're around people, because it's showing, these are the things I actually care about, and this is how I want to present myself. There's inner workings of the psyche that are all very revealing. And so they're both, in my opinion, super important to at least just have an awareness of. But if you're the type of cat that's alone, that doesn't really do much and is just kind of like whatever, it's probably a good sign that you might need to make certain adjustments to your life. Because I'm telling you, that used to be me. Whenever I had time alone, I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to like chill out and just like do nothing. And in my head, I actually get an abundance of energy when I'm alone. Like an abundance of energy. When I'm by myself, oh my gosh, man. Unbelievable, dude. Unbelievable the amount of energy I get presented with. It feels like it's just like compounds. And it gets more and more. And then once I'm around people, then you can just feel the energy tank just depleting. So no matter what, there's a benefit to anything. But the whole point of this is, and you guys know this is basically what this page is all about, it's about basically playing the game under your standard, right? It's your own accord. It's your playbook. And the best way to come up with your own playbook is just about being unapologetically honest about who you are. Who are you in the quiet? Who are you in the dark? And who are you in the light? Around people, by yourself. And the more you have a legitimate, you need to have a real marker of reality on this stuff. Because the more accurate depiction you have of reality, of yourself, the easier it is for you to make the proper decisions. But most people just have blindfolds on and everything is, I wish I was like this, so I'm just going to say I'm like this. Everything's earned. And if you try to lie to yourself, you'll end up just messing yourself over on the back end. That's it. It's a confidence issue. It's a lack of confidence issue. Because I can tell myself I suck at things because I know that if I'm aware that I suck at something and I care to fix it, it's going to get fixed. Get what I'm saying? Anyways, I know this is a long video today, but it was a nice little drive and I felt like talking to you guys. And I know what you're thinking. Bro, you're not talking to anyone. You're talking to yourself. Well, I have the ability to feel like you guys are there with me. So, whatever. Who's going to tell me? It's almost like when people are like, that's technically placebo. If placebo is working, then it's working technically. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I appreciate you guys being here, and I hope this is well worth your time, despite the rambling. But if there's anything you guys want specifically, drop it down in the comments. And if people like those comments, give those a thumbs up. And that way I know to make a video on it. As always, y'all, I love y'all from my heart, man. Uncle Rami out. Peace. Oh, come on.